Good morning. Yesterday, Governor Dayton, along with a group of bipartisan legislators and the Department of Health Commissioner Jan Malcolm and the head of Minnesota AARP, held a press event announcing the release of their comprehensive bill to crack down on maltreatment in senior homes. We wanted to give you information as soon as we could about the process, about the bill, and about what action steps we are taking, so bear with me. First, the bill. So the governor's bill is a comprehensive 65-page bill that mirrors very closely both the recommendations of the AARP report released at the end of last year, which we told you about, as well as recommendations from the Office of Legislative Auditor's final report relating to OHFC. The brunt of the bill is focused on prevention of abuse and neglect, but because this bill was developed just with consumer advocacy groups without any input from regulators, legislators, providers, associations, it is a very comprehensively one-sided bill that is problematic for us. So tomorrow in the House, the bill that we are putting forward as the long-term care imperative will have a hearing. And that ties to some key priorities that we have put forth relating to prevention of abuse, transparency, and communication with families. It does not include all of the recommendations that are in the AARP governor's bill. I encourage you to look that bill up and to read through it. We will be putting a summary of our concerns up on our website when we have an opportunity to fully delve through the bill. It's House File 3468. And Senate File 3088, and you can find that here on our website. Let me give you a few ideas of why we have problems with the bill. So the proposal, instead of doing a task force revisiting the structure for assisted living, presupposes there's going to be a singular licensing system for all the assisted living. There's increases in civil money penalties, and there are also expanded access to victims and their families into a concept called interested persons, both under the Healthcare Bill of Rights, the ability to sue, the ability to get civil fines, a very expanded role of interested persons, which could mean anyone. Some of the bigger issues that I could see that we would have with this report are as follows. There is a new Healthcare Bill of Rights, and it would impact settings like hospitals, nursing homes, boarding care homes, and housing with services settings. And this new Healthcare Bill of Rights has expanded rights. Things like, okay, you can't retaliate against someone who did a complaint. Now, they further define what retaliation means, such as 90 days after they complained about something, you cannot give them a notice of discharge, change their service plans, change their rates or anything. That is a problem because we know the real life circumstances whereby service needs increase and we can no longer meet their needs. This essentially would bar us from being able to discharge someone or evict someone if we cannot meet their needs. It's really creating a new health and safety issue from our perspective. There's an expansion defining what deceptive practices are, deceptive marketing practices. It includes if you aren't fully staffed and have a level of staffing that's continuous, you are being deceptive in your marketing practice, and there's fines that correspond to that. It does, the two areas that I think our housing members are going to have the biggest issue, it does mandate that all housing with services settings designate at least 10% of their rooms or beds for residents on the elderly waiver program. And it also says that if you have individuals who have been a private pay tenant for at least a year and they're in a private room and they run out of money, you can't move them without their consent. Those are big business practice changes that would happen, and we based our operations on a model that probably doesn't reflect that. That is our challenge this session. So what are we going to do? Well, right now, staff are at the Capitol, our lobbying team, meeting with individual legislators, especially the legislators who surprisingly signed on to that bill. There are about a dozen legislators signing on to the House version and 5 or 6 signing on to the Senate version, and we're meeting with them to find out why. What portion of this bill caused them to sign on as a co-author? The chief authors of the bill, of the AARP governor's bill, Representative Liz Olson, a freshman legislator, Democratic legislator from the Duluth area, who's on the Health and Human Services and Aging Committee. That's not surprising. It is a Democratic governor, and so it's not surprising that we'd have Democratic lead authors. In the Senate, the author is Senator Tony Lowry, who again is a Democrat from Carrick, Minnesota, and we also can understand that Democrats will follow along with the Democrat bill, and there's also some strong interest in some of the provisions, core provisions that actually we have brought forward. It is good to note that the chairs are Republican in the House and Senate, in the Aging Committee and Health and Human Services Committees. They have not signed on to the bill. They don't have an intention of actually hearing that particular bill. However, we do have to be very aware that at any point in time, amendments can be put onto our bills, that these are issues that are floating around, and there is a strong interest. The governor and lieutenant governor at the press conference yesterday said this is one of our top priorities for the session. They've asked for $15 million to implement some of these changes. Many of the changes include infrastructure for OHFC, Office of Health Facility Complaints, in their investigations. So be diligent, contact your legislator, take a look at the bill. We will be sending it out both to our board and legislative forum today, but we'll be posting it on our website for you to review and take a look at, and send us your comments of concerns. The more operational concerns we can raise as we meet with legislators, the better it is for us to make sure that we advocate with the proper messages, which is we believe abuse and neglect does not have a place in senior care settings. We want to strongly have a position of prevention, transparency, and accountability, and that's what our bills do this year. We want to be thoughtful about changing the model for our current assisted living providers in this state without presupposing a model that's contained in the AARP governor's bill. We have put together legislation establishing stakeholder groups to be more thoughtful, to include those in the room who were not in the room with the development of this bill. So feel free to contact me if you have any questions. The lobbying team, unfortunately, is at the Capitol, so you won't hear back from them too quickly, but send me an email. Here's my email address and my phone number. Be happy to talk through some of the provisions or give you some ideas of what to do. If you are willing to testify at any point in the next few weeks, it's going to go very fast, and we have been calling on members to testify as we need them. If you are willing to be in that circle of potential testifiers, again, shoot me an email. Thank you, and have a good day.